Welcome to the Pretty Powerful Podcast, where powerful women are interviewed every week to share real inspiring stories and incredible insight to help women or anyone break the barriers, be a part of innovation, shatter the glass ceiling, and dominate to the top of their sport, industry, or life's mission. Join us as we celebrate exceptional women and step into our power. And now, here's your host, Angela Gennari.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Pretty Powerful Podcast. My name is Angela Gennari, and today I am here with Nancy Marks. How are you, Nancy?
I'm great, Angela. Glad to be here.
Yes, it's such a pleasure on a rainy day. So after 30 plus years in corporate, Nancy Marks took a leap of faith and found her passion in fused glass art. Beginning with a single class, despite her initial self-doubt about having any artistic talent, to her surprise, she discovered a knack for working with glass and embraced the imperfect beauty of her creations. Glass Arts Collective, more than just a studio, it's a sanctuary where artists converge, forming an intimate community bound by the transformative power of art. It's a place where mental well-being flourishes as individuals evoke emotions through artistic expression. Very cool. I'm very excited to talk to you. And I'm one of those, Nancy, who feels like they have no artistic talent whatsoever. So
my sister and my dad were very creative,
okay.
and I can't color in the lines. Forget the game of Pictionary for me. Nobody could ever figure out what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I tried lots of things, but I I just assumed, and then I had that mental block of self-talk that I couldn't do it.
Yep. Well, I I have always said I struggle to draw a straight stick figure. So I'm like, art is not for me. But, when you go into these studios, like there's so many of these little paint and sip and all these really great studios, and they really do bring out some artistic talents that we all have uniquely. And what I love the most about your bio is that you said you embraced the imperfections, because that's the hardest part for us who are perfectionists, right? It's like,
Exactly.
no, there's a line out of order. That's not going to work. How do you get through that?
Exactly. And it's even worse when you've spent most of your corporate career in accounting and technology and places where everything has to connect just right.
Right. Right. You feel like you're working against the forces that have created you.
Exactly. That's what I've been, living my life as. And it's like all this, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. So you spent your whole career, 30 years in various aspects of corporate. So
Yes.
what did that look like? That
Well,
was accounting?
I start off in personnel before it was even called human resources.
Uh-huh.
And I went to ABC Motion Pictures. Then from there, I went to Columbia Pictures with my boss. And then the stress levels and the inability to maintain a job if your boss leaves was kind of a thing. So I switched over to IT, which I had a background in. I took computer programming in college on punch cards, just to date myself a little bit there.
Wow.
And I didn't like the languages I was learning in programming, but I definitely had an understanding of kind of how it's put together and what the logic is. And from there, I kind of went to Sony Pictures, which brought Columbia Pictures corporately. So I went to their IT department and was there for quite a while doing administration, budgeting, forecasting, purchasing, making sure that everything lined up well.
Yeah.
And then I worked with Toshiba, I worked for IBM, I worked for a distributor for technology, and I worked for other various companies. And then my last corporate was working for my husband, who had his own IT company for network infrastructure.
Okay.
And there I moved more into sales and operations. So I was responsible for all of the accounting department, the sales department to a certain degree. We kind of crossed over on that one. And oh
Okay.
my goodness, it was a lot of stuff that had to match up just right and had those
Right.
numbers better balance. And
Mhm. So you
it
took
was
that
a lot.
whole career of having to be absolutely perfect. And you went into art, which is the opposite. It allows your brain to have that freedom of, things can just be. They don't have to be a certain way, right?
Exactly. And it's almost like my mind and body just sort of exploded. It was like, oh my gosh, an artistic outlet. Oh, good. Um, and it all started with a class which I took because my mom is in an assisted living facility here in California, and they had someone come on site teaching fused glass, and I had never heard of it. I had no idea what it was. I only knew really of glass blowing and stained glass. And so I said, Mom would enjoy if I could do this with her and we could
Sure.
find some projects together. So begrudgingly, I decided to take that step and book a class, and I did. And I went in and I kept saying, "Oh my gosh, what's this going to look like?" And I thought, okay, mindset. Mom doesn't care if it looks good or not.
Right.
She doesn't.
Exactly.
So who am I trying to impress?
Right.
No one. I mean, if I can do something else with mom, yay. I love that idea. So I took it and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a studio a little bit closer to home and started hanging out there a lot.
Yeah.
And after a year and a half, I guess about, they closed that location. So I said to my husband, okay, I'm retired now. What do I do? I was having so much fun. And he says, well, you know how to run a business. Open your
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
about 2 years after I learned what fused glass was, I opened the glass art studio.
Wow. I love that. I love that. So there's so many aspects of this that I want to dive into. I mean, first of all, you took this creative outlet. You said, I don't really want to do this, but you did it because of quality time. So you did it for the right reasons, right? Like they
Right.
always say, if you want to make a lot of money or you want to find your true calling, do it because not for the actual thing. Do it because you have an impelling reason, and you had an impelling reason, and that or compelling
Yes,
reason. That compelling reason was your mother, right? And spending quality time.
absolutely.
And so it just dug up a passion that you didn't know you had. And then you took, an opportunity where you said, there's nowhere to go. I'm going to create that place. And so that's how entrepreneurs are born, right? Like that's how we do this. That's exactly how great companies are born. They're filling a need. And usually it's a filling a need that they particularly have. So I love
Exactly. And I was actually able to take the lease for the studio um, that was existing that I liked so much. I loved the
Yeah.
energy in there. I loved the layout and everything. So it saved me a lot of money. I didn't have to do a big build out.
Mhm.
What I wasn't planning for was COVID, which from the day I opened the door for the public, 5 weeks later, COVID shut California down.
Wow, that's brutal. That is so brutal.
And
Wow.
I went through all of those. Oh my God, what did I just do? I took on a lease. I have all this new inventory, all these things. And then I kind of stopped myself and stepped back. And I've learned a lot about mindset and self-talk through all of this. And I used to say, I wish I had more time. I don't
Yeah.
have enough time in the day. If I only had more time, if I only could get this done too. And now all of a sudden I had that time. So I thought, I had friends coming in to help teach classes because I wasn't that far advanced yet.
Hmm.
Well, COVID gave me the time to take a lot of classes online and gave me a lot of time to play. I updated things in the studio that I hadn't thought about, color samples and labeling things and putting lights in to different areas. And coming out of, as we started to come out of COVID, it was like, I'm a different person. I have so much more confidence. I have so much more inventory to show somebody for inspiration. Um, the gift shop in the front, and which was for pickup only originally.
Hmm.
And I grew. I grew tremendously and had a lot of friends who really were very, very supportive. That community of people, like-minded people was amazing.
Yeah, I love that. So, yeah, COVID was such a blessing for a lot of people. It gave me the opportunity to slow down too. We were on a fast growth trajectory with my company, but I feel like we were growing, but we were not growing in a sense that would have been sustainable. We were just growing fast, right? And so it was
Right.
fast growth, but it wasn't, we weren't building the foundation that we needed to be building in order to really sustain that growth long term. So it gave me that quiet time to reconfigure. And that's exactly what you did. You reconfigured your
Yeah,
business. You thought, okay, how can I make this even better? How can we take a great concept and make it amazing? So that's
exactly.
awesome. Good for you. So Anna gave you a little bit more foundation for your training, more confidence. And so you have artists that are not, you have art in your studio that's not your own. How do you find those artists?
Well, I think the energy, how they talk about they, I love that word they. Who are
Yeah,
they? But, if you give the right vibes, you have the right energy, you put out to the universe that you're looking for like-minded people, they do come.
they do come.
And a lot of them actually started with fused glass at my studio. They had never done it. They've done other types of art, but had never done fused glass.
Oh,
And I have an open studio community now. So it's a membership where they pay a monthly, like sort of like a gym membership, and they can come whenever there's open studio membership time, which I have on the calendar quite a bit of it each week, because I want to support them too. So they're
yeah,
supporting me on a monthly basis. And I went, ding, 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 ding. How can I support them more? So their stuff started going in my gift shop as well to help support them because they're making all this stuff. Where are they going to
sure.
sell it? A lot of them don't have the mindset to be a business person. And so setting up
Mhm.
an Etsy site or Spotify, they're great, but you still have to be able to do all of that work. So I helped them by taking that issue of how am I going to sell my art now
Yeah.
and put it into a common place. And everyone is so supportive of each other. We're all doing one of a kind things. We're not doing mass production. We're not trying to go down to the flea markets or the farmers markets or um, so we're not just laying a bunch of stuff out and doing the same thing over and over again. Each one is an individual piece and it has love and attention, and a lot of times we'll say, "Oh my gosh, you need a piece like this in yours," and we'll
Mhm.
share pieces of art that we have that we didn't, it didn't fit the piece we wanted. It was
Yeah.
glass we had because there's a lot of specialty glass, or we made some stuff that looked like this would be perfect in yours. So we go around and go, okay, so this part of my piece is from so and so, and this part of my piece is from so and so, and
Wow.
it is such a warm and loving environment.
Oh, that's so amazing. Well, and it's wonderful that you're promoting them and that you're helping them, because like you said, not everybody has business acumen. Not everybody wants to do business. If you're an artist or you're skilled at a certain task or you have a certain skill set, doesn't mean that you necessarily want to be a business owner. And so just
Right.
having somebody take that burden off of you and saying, "Hey, can you just help me to monetize this so that I'm not even if they're not making $1 million, it just pays for their costs sometimes. It pays for their time, their costs, their effort, and just being able to give them that gift of helping them is amazing.
And it is so much fun watching someone come in and pick out a piece when the artist is in the studio.
Oh
And I'll
yeah.
go, oh, it just so happens the artist is in the studio, and the artist will come over and they will be introduced. They'll talk about their piece with the other person and they'll have a great time. And
Mhm.
so it works out really nicely to have that kind of camaraderie on top of everything else.
Absolutely. So if you guys are watching or you're listening to the podcast, you're not seeing her beautiful background, but she has some of the most amazing, beautiful art behind her. So are these the pieces that people can find in your gift store?
Yes. Some of them actually have sold already,
Mhm.
but they can find them in the gift store. So if they're in the Los Angeles area, they can come and visit in person. But we've also now built out the gift shop so it's online from our website. We have our own e-commerce site built into it, and we're shipping throughout the United States.
Oh, nice.
So you can pick up something and have it shipped to a friend. And one of the things they always talk about in marketing, which is probably the area I'm learning the most about now, because I didn't have to do that before,
Yeah.
is who are your ideal customers?
Hmm.
And everyone needs a gift for somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And so often when you go into this, there aren't a lot of places that have handcrafted nice gifts around for you. And so being able to go and find something that's a one of a kind that you can pick, and find and send to your friends with a gift note, there's just, there's nothing better than
Hmm.
opening something that is just totally different. And a lot of our stuff is designed to be used every day. I
Oh,
mean, you can
really?
use it in the kitchen. It's food safe.
Hmm.
So we have stuff that's food safe, and for the kitchen, we have wall art, we have table art, we have jewelry, we have wine bottle stoppers. I mean, we even have letter openers
Oh,
and
wow.
bracelets. And I mean, almost anything we name it, we have it. But it's not quite
Mhm.
that good, but it's really close. So more than likely, we have got something for that special someone in your life.
Oh, that's wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about business ownership and kind of when you started. So what were some of your challenges when you were getting started with your business? I mean, obviously COVID, that was a big factor, but
Right.
just deciding where to get a lease and what to sell. How did you start making some of those decisions and what obstacles did you run into?
I think the easiest part for me was where to do it
Yeah.
because there was an existing facility.
Mm,
And I knew that. So that helped out probably with one of the biggest challenges. And I didn't have to worry about getting it built out. I had to have an electrician come in and add some additional things, that kind of stuff. Um, but I'm really comfortable making those calls. I understand electricity, from working with technology. I'm
yeah.
happy to talk about, do you have a battery backup and,
Yeah.
those types of things, not too many things on the same circuit. So that kind of thing made me very comfortable. I know how to do a lot of setup of things. I would say the biggest thing was really marketing and
Mm.
publicity and how do I let people know that I'm here?
Mhm, mhm.
And that has been a consistent challenge. It's been pretty much word of mouth that has been getting, um, because if you don't know what fused glass is, and actually I should explain that.
Yeah, I was about to say,
A
why don't you tell us about it? Because I don't even know that I know what fused glass is.
Yeah. So a fused, there's the typical kind of glass things you know about is blown glass, and that's considered hot glass. That's around 2000 degrees. And a lot
Okay.
of people have seen the Netflix show Blown Away, which is a phenomenal show. And you have to be going all the time, and it's hot and it's a lot of energy and the thought process, you need to really be right there for all of it.
Mm.
Um, Stained glass, people think of church windows.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that's been around for a very long time. And then there's mosaic, which can be tile or glass. And there's all kinds of different products you can use with that as well. And then fused glass isn't as old as a lot of the others. So fused glass is making everything at a comfortable temperature.
Okay.
Music playing, you can have a glass of wine, um, you can have snacks. So it's a much, much more relaxed environment, which
Yeah.
I enjoy, and the camaraderie and talking with friends while you're doing it. And then it's put into a big kiln. And so the kilns are similar to ceramic kilns, but the heating elements are in different places.
Okay.
So you make it at room temperature, everything's comfortable, and then I put it in the kilns, and that's about an 18 to 20-hour cycle, depending on the schedule, because you want to take up the temperature slowly so that the glass doesn't have thermal shock and crack.
Ah, okay.
So depending on the size of the pieces, I mean, some of the pieces are very large and the outer edge is going to heat first and it takes longer, like a cake, for the center to get the same heat. So you stop at different points to let the temperature even out throughout the whole piece of glass. And then you go up to another level. So fused glass is usually around 14 or 1500 degrees.
Okay.
So there's a big difference between blown glass and fused glass, and a big difference between fused glass and the cake in your oven.
Yeah, yeah. So, question. So, if you had
Yeah.
these kilns, does the air not circulate around like I would say like a convection oven where, it heats evenly, so it heats the outsides and then it slowly goes to the inside? Is that what happens? Okay,
Yes. So
interesting.
the heating elements are on the top and on the sides.
Mhm.
Some of the kilns are very small. I mean, there's a lot of different sizes of kilns. I have 6 in the studio kilns, and they definitely vary in size. But I try to fill for classes and special projects, the bigger ones. And so we put a lot of different pieces in. And so the heat is coming towards the center, but sometimes, you're sort of on one side or the other more. And so there's a thermostat inside to make sure that the evenness of the heat in there is working. But the
Interesting.
air is circulating inside.
So, question, how does it all stay together before it fuses?
Well, most things are built on a base sheet of glass.
Okay.
And so we have people put a little dab of glue, just so I can carry it to the kiln.
Right. Yeah.
And I like to make sure it stays the design they want.
Mm-hmm.
Life is real.
Yes.
Sometimes you can be a little shaky or somebody can interrupt and you turn. But I always say a dab of glue for a couple of reasons. One, we don't want a lot of glue. The glue will melt off at about 500 degrees.
Mm.
And if you put too much glue while it's melting, whatever you're trying to glue can move around.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it's become liquefied.
Hmm.
So you want to do that. And then the other thing is that a lot of times, if you use too much glue throughout a big solid piece, the edges seal before all the glue can burn off and the gases escape out. And that can be a nightmare because it will
Mm.
burn in and it'll create bubbles while it's trying to explode. And it becomes a big mess.
Yeah, I
So I
imagine.
try to teach right from the very beginning, a little bit of glue. It's just so I can carry it.
Yep.
And it's fun to watch because people are used to arts and crafts and it's lots of glue.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
and
It's just a
you
tiny.
just kind of keep reminding them why. And they get it and they go, but this isn't a big piece. And it's like, I'm trying to teach the techniques so you learn it as you grow. All the techniques you're learning in these various classes all build on each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that they're 2 to 3 hour classes. I try not to make it too much. So it's
Yeah.
fun. You can do it without taking out half a day. And then you can have fun and then you can go to lunch beforehand or dinner, or you can incorporate other things with your friends
Yeah, absolutely.
or
So
family.
how do you find your customers? How do you is it mostly people who are coming in just for one day, or are these people who are really committed to the process?
All the above.
Okay,
And
good.
including we do team building sessions. We do
Oh,
birthday
fun.
parties,
Yeah.
girls' nights out. We will have community groups come in and do their meeting first, and then have everybody make something. So
Oh,
it adds on to the meeting and making it more interesting. And they find they get more people coming
yeah,
to the meetings
absolutely.
when there's something else to go do as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think team building is a great idea because it's a very, lovely distraction. It's something that you can do and it brings out creativity and it allows you to kind of work together to create beautiful art. So that's wonderful. All right. So you have so many wonderful pieces. How do you get your inspiration?
I I find all of us are very different.
Mm-hmm.
I find a lot of my inspiration is very dependent on my mood.
Okay.
So I don't draw things out first. I have other friends who are very meticulous and they draw things out, and that's great, and it works for them. I find I pick my colors and decide that sort of first. And then
Mm-hmm.
from there, I kind of decide what do I want to do with them? What am I in the mood for? Um, what are we low in stock in the gift shop on? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
gee, my friend mentioned something, or somebody came in and said, wouldn't it be nice if
Yeah.
my array of glass is probably not the most unique in the studio because there's a couple of my friends now that have a huge variety, and that's based on the fact that they did painting before or something else in art prior. So they have kind of these ideas in their head already that they really enjoy doing. And
Yeah.
so they're converting those types of techniques into glass.
Mm-hmm.
So we can actually paint on glass. There's paints and enamels that can go into the high heat.
Oh,
And
interesting.
we can do paint pours. So we can use some of those and pour the glass. And so things that they've done in other mediums of art, um, and even things as silly as music. We've had people kind of think of songs and there's kind of a flow and what makes them feel while they're listening to a song, and they kind of put a flow together. So some pieces are designed to be very specific designs, and some of
Mhm.
them are very abstract.
Okay, very nice.
And it's all, I mean, it's all different ways. In sort of the upper corner, for those of you that are on YouTube, there are little plants.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody had been working on their garden, and so they came in and made a bunch of little potted plants in
Oh,
glass.
so beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. And the one to your bottom left shoulder, to your shoulder, it is beautiful. I mean, that's a very stunning piece. Is it a sculpture?
It's yeah, it's kind of like a starburst.
Yeah.
That is, it was one of my earlier pieces that I made actually, and I begrudgingly decided to finally sell it because I know I could make another one, but I liked it so much. And
Yeah.
that's probably the hardest thing for all of us is you make something that you just fall in love with and it just touched you with some reason. And it's like, okay, it's time to let it touch someone else's life now.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. So what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
Um, don't be so serious. I
Hmm.
mean, I've always had kind of a silly personality and playful personality, but I would take myself really seriously.
Hmm.
And I would say tone that down,
Yeah.
trust yourself more. I think that I did way too much negative talk to myself for a long time. And, you're not good enough because of this or that, or you're not as good as they are, so why even try? And I have really taken on that kind of thought process that, you know what? That is not me. That's
Hmm.
my ego talking, and it's time to learn to work around that and tell my ego it's not in control anymore. So
Yes.
I wish I'd done that at 18.
I know. I wish I had learned a little bit more about how we speak to ourselves makes all the difference because I think I dealt with so much imposter syndrome and,
Yes,
constantly doubting my skills and abilities. And there's just so much negative self-talk of, what are you doing here? You don't deserve to be here. Everybody here is more qualified. And so I would say
yes,
these awful things in my head and then try
yes,
to go out and be confident in a room and it doesn't fit. It doesn't match, right? Like
exactly.
how you project yourself and what you say to yourself has to match. And I wish I
Absolutely.
had known. Yeah, but yeah, the way you talk to yourself, you're so right. I mean, it makes so much difference. And when you had brought up earlier about the self-talk, that neuro-linguistic programming, I'm so, I can't do this and I have no ideas and I'm not sure I can do this. And, those things, it just reinforces what you're saying. So if you change the pattern, and I was actually just talking with a friend about this the other day, she said she would wake up every morning and say, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I'm so exhausted. And then she would just be tired all day. And now she's changed it.
Yeah,
She wakes up in the morning and she said, I have so much energy, even if she feels terrible, even if
right.
she feels I have so much energy for today. I'm going to get so much done. I feel so great. I'm going to be so excited to go to the gym, even though she didn't want to go to the gym. And so, but
Exactly.
changed. She said her whole, like, she's been doing it for 6 weeks and it's changed everything for her. So, I think you're
Yeah.
right. Just learning that at a younger age would just change things for us tremendously.
Even just saying you're grateful before I go to
Yeah.
bed, all the things I'm grateful for. And, when I first did it, it's like, what am I really grateful for?
Mhm.
I had a cold today. And I mean, you think about who the people are that you're so grateful for. And, we live in a country that is pretty amazing. Yeah,
Mhm.
it has its flaws just like everything else. And when you stop looking at those everything else and you just look at the
Yeah.
positive, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean you don't know that the other stuff exists or you try to pretend it doesn't. But be grateful for what is
Mhm.
huge. And that took me a little bit to get used to, but I have to tell you, I sleep better. And when I wake up, I just kind of go, you know what? I really am grateful for those things. And I just kind of retouch on it before I can get out of bed. And I have so much more energy. It's
Oh,
really,
Absolutely. I do the same thing. I constantly remind myself how grateful I am. Even when I'm driving and I'm sitting in traffic, I'm so grateful I'm sitting in my car in a warm car and I'm not walking, and I'm so grateful that I have somewhere to go and I can go to work today. And I'm grateful that, yeah. But so you have to remind yourself, even in those trying times, those are the times that are easy to complain. It's easy to get down on yourself. But yeah, taking that opportunity to be grateful is challenging but rewarding.
Yeah. I really wish people would stop complaining as much.
Hmm.
It really is. You just want to like give them a big hug and say, it's really going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's even, I mean, I was driving yesterday and someone cut me off.
Hmm.
And my initial was like, what in the world? And I stopped. And I said, I'm really grateful he didn't hit me. I'm really grateful I didn't hit him. I am still here.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened in his mind at that point in time, but you know what? I'm going to keep going and I am happy with my life. And boy, where I used to be like angry, road rage almost, type of thing,
Hmm.
doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can have
Well,
those momentary. It's okay. There's
yeah.
nothing wrong with those momentary being annoyed, but let go of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you were saying earlier that you attract the energy that you put out there. And so when you put out there that you want good people around you and you want artistic, creative, loving people, and all of a sudden they just start coming to you because that's the energy that you're putting out. And so that's what you're attracting back in. Absolutely. So, one of the things that I ask on every podcast is, as women, we often give our power away and, whatever that looks like, in so many different ways. And so, it could be taking criticism. It could be, not moving up into a promotion that you deserved. We just gave our power away. Is there a time that you gave your power away and then maybe another time that you stepped into your power?
Oh, so many times I gave my power away. You are
Yeah.
absolutely right. And pretty much for all the reasons you just said.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, different jobs. And absolutely, I found my power when I would jump from being in human resources to motion picture division.
Oh,
I
yeah.
decided that, you know what, I can learn anything.
Yeah.
And so I would look back sometimes and exactly what you said. Why didn't I speak up? Why didn't I say something? Why did I allow someone to talk to me that way? And why
Hmm.
did I let it bother me? I can't
Yeah.
change how somebody's going to talk to me. They can give me a complaint. I had someone tell me in high school that I shouldn't wear dresses or skirts because it looks like I have toothpicks sticking out underneath because I have long, thin legs.
Jeez.
And somehow I took that as I shouldn't wear dresses or skirts for years. And I'm like, oh my stars, why would I care what she said? I look great in dresses and skirts.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, wow. Not what I was expecting when you realize you've done that. But somebody else's thoughts do not have to be yours. And that,
Nope.
again, I wish I told myself, my 6-year-old self that.
Yeah, just because somebody says it doesn't mean it's true. And this is one thing I've had to say so many times. I'm like, just because somebody has verbalized something doesn't make it true. Like, and it can be
Exactly.
their truth and still not be our truth.
Yes. And it's like when I was a kid, I would go door to friends to see who we could play. And if
Yep,
somebody couldn't play that day, I didn't take it personally. I didn't take it that they didn't like me anymore. I didn't take it as anything other than they couldn't play that at that point.
sure.
And now it's like you call somebody up, and if they're not available or they don't return your phone call fast enough, what's going on? It's like
Yep.
maybe they're busy.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's okay. Yeah, we
Yeah,
tend to be on-demand generation now. All of a sudden, like suddenly everybody has to respond immediately, and that's why I don't wear an Apple Watch and I don't wear, anything that makes me even more in demand than I already am because I don't want to be at anyone else's beck and call. I've got my own life to run. And so,
exactly. And a lot of what you can do, and you probably do it as well, is you set time frames where I'm going to get this done in this time frame, and I'm not going to be interrupted
yep,
unless it's, somebody in the family has a true emergency. Anything else can wait.
yep. Yes.
And that that really helps. It's very easy to get distracted when the people are in front of you and walk up to you and say, "Hey, can you show me how to do this?" Or where is this now? And I'm
Mm,
like, "I'll show you in a minute or two. Let me just finish what I'm doing." And
yeah.
to be able to say that, no one has been insulted ever. Like, "Oh, okay, no problem. Thanks."
Yep.
And I
Yep.
didn't have to stop what I was working on.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel the same way with phone calls. I don't like to take phone calls because phone calls are very disruptive. And so if I'm in the flow of doing something and am working on something and I've been working on it for a half hour and then all of a sudden I take a phone call, it can take 15 minutes to get back to the point where I'm focused on my work again. So I don't generally take phone calls for that reason during the workday or when I'm in a project or so you just have to call me back later or
Yeah,
text me if you
that's what
want.
voicemail's for.
Yes. Yep. So this has been very enjoyable, but one last question
Oh,
for you.
yes.
Um, what do you wish more people knew?
Wow. I wish more people knew that creativity can help you relax.
Oh, yeah.
That the arts, and it doesn't, I mean, I love fuse glass, that's my passion, but find what's yours. I mean, it might be just sketching,
Hmm.
and people find they don't have the time to sketch. Well, while you're waiting for dinner, do a
Hmm.
little sketch. And it doesn't have to be all the time, but boy, what a mindset difference that makes in helping you to just decompress, to relax. I think one of the things that I love so much when people have come into a class is at the end of the class, they'll go, "I am so much more relaxed."
Oh, wow.
And it was a big enough difference for them that they wanted to share it. And it's like, those are those gems that are priceless to me. I
Mhm.
made a difference. It might be a little difference, but I've made a difference in someone's life.
Mhm.
And that's huge.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yes, I 100% agree with you. And yeah, I'm still looking for my creative outlet, but I definitely need to find one because I agree. It is very relaxing. Well, thank you so much, Nancy. You have been such
Hey,
a
Angela,
pleasure.
it's been a great
So
pleasure. Thank you. This was so much fun.
yes. So how can people find you and your studio?
So the best place to go is my website, which is glassarts with an S, collective.com. The registration for the classes is online, and then you come in for the classes. I
Okay.
have my website there. We have a gallery of art that we're not selling, but just to see a lot of different pieces. We have what's going on for events. We're putting our podcasts up there now too, which is
Yay.
exciting. And then we also have included now that we have an art gallery exhibit for our open studio people. So for an entire month. So Fran Elson is coming up next, and all that schedule is on the website. And then we
Okay.
have Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. They're all glassartscollective.com. And I'm on LinkedIn, Nancy Marks.
Okay.
So you can find me there as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And we will have her links on prettypowerfulpodcast.com. So if you didn't catch anything that she said, please go to prettypowerfulpodcast.com and you can find all the links there as well. So thank you again, Nancy. This has been such a pleasure. I'll definitely come check out your studio next time I am in LA because I think that you just do some great work. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Angela.
Well, everyone have an amazing day, and please check out the next episode of the Pretty Powerful Podcast. Have an amazing day, y'all. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining our guests on the Pretty Powerful Podcast. And we hope you've gained new insight and learned from exceptional women. Remember to subscribe or check out this and all episodes on prettypowerfulpodcast.com. Visit us next time, and until then, step into your own power.